Sunita Williams looked out the small window of the International Space Station, her thoughts drifting to her family back on Earth. She and her crewmate, Barry Butch Wilmore, had spent far more time aboard the ISS than originally planned. Their return vehicle, Boeing Starliner, had been grounded for technical issues, leaving them in a prolonged state of microgravity. It had been a test of patience, endurance, and resilience. The announcement that SpaceX's Dragon capsule, named Freedom, would come to their rescue felt like a beacon of hope. Saturday morning couldn't come soon enough for Suni and Butch. The Freedom would carry a slimmed-down crew of just one NASA astronaut and one Russian cosmonaut, with two empty seats reserved for them. This unusual arrangement underscored the urgency and importance of their return mission. It also highlighted the trust NASA had placed in SpaceX, now the sole provider of human spaceflight services to the ISS. Butch glanced over at Suni. "Think it'll be smooth?" he asked, his voice betraying a mix of hope and skepticism. "It has to be," she replied, mustering as much confidence as she could. "It's our ticket home, down on Earth, at the Kennedy Space Center." A hive of activity surrounded Launch Pad 39A. Engineers, scientists, and mission controllers worked tirelessly to ensure everything was perfect. The Freedom was undergoing final checks, its sleek design standing out against the backdrop of the Florida sky. The Dragon capsule had a proven track record, each successful mission further cementing SpaceX's role in the future of space travel. Back on the ISS, as they went through their daily routine, Suni and Butch couldn't help but reflect on their extended stay. They had developed an even deeper appreciation for the fragility and wonder of life, both on and off Earth. On the day of the launch, they watched from the station as the Freedom ascended, a fiery plume trailing behind it. Every heart-stopping minute felt like an eternity. The Dragon capsule docked smoothly with the ISS, and for the first time in months, Suni and Butch allowed themselves to hope. As they strapped into their seats in Freedom alongside the new arrivals, a wave of relief washed over them. Soon, they would break through the atmosphere, leaving behind the cold expanse of space for the warm embrace of home. The journey taught them much about perseverance and the human spirit's ability to adapt under pressure. It also symbolized the incredible strides humanity continues to make in the realm of space exploration. The engines roared to life, and Freedom began its descent, carrying Suni and Butch back to the planet they had yearned for. The 1.2 million-pound Falcon 9 rocket carrying the capsule is scheduled to take off at 1:17 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday from Cape Canaveral, Florida. NASA and SpaceX were cleared for launch after a Tuesday test, although the launch was delayed by 2 days when Hurricane Helene made landfall off the Gulf of Mexico. The mission, known as Crew 9, is staffed by NASA astronaut Nick Hague and cosmonaut Aleksandr Gorbunov. NASA officials had considered including extra weight, known as ballast, to account for the smaller crew, but ultimately decided it wasn't needed, according to a NASA spokesman. Wilmore and Williams had been on the International Space Station, ISS, since early June, their journey marking the first crewed mission of Boeing's Starliner capsule. Originally, they were supposed to return to Earth after a week, but as fate would have it, NASA extended their stay. Problems with the experimental spacecraft, failing thrusters and small helium leaks, plagued the mission, forcing NASA to reconsider their return plans. NASA's engineers, after extensive deliberation, concluded that Boeing's system was not reliable enough for the return mission. The decision was a difficult one, but ultimately grounded in the safety of the crew. As NASA's Commercial Crew Program Manager, Steve Stick, succinctly put it, a return on the Starliner encapsulated too much risk for the crew. The two astronauts then had their stay at the ISS extended to nearly 8 months, giving them unexpected but invaluable extra time for research and experimentation. Each day on the ISS was a blend of routine tasks and groundbreaking research, and they adapted to their extended stay with the kind of resilience that only seasoned astronauts possess. The camaraderie they developed with their fellow astronauts was strong. They were not just colleagues, but a family, united by the unique challenges and the awe-inspiring experience of living in space. Williams and Wilmore maintained their focus, conducting experiments ranging from biological studies to examining materials in microgravity. Their prolonged mission brought insights that might have been missed with a shorter stay. Finally, with the help of SpaceX, they were scheduled to return to Earth in February, along with the rest of Crew 9. As the date for their return approached, a mix of emotions swirled within them. There was a palpable excitement about reuniting with their families and savoring the small comforts of Earth. However, there was also a tinge of melancholy. They would miss the grandeur of space and the unique bond they shared with the crew. Their mission had been an odyssey filled with unexpected turns. Yet it was those very turns that redefined their journey, producing stories and insights that would inspire future generations of astronauts. The Starliner returned to Earth without a crew in early September, a setback for Boeing and for U.S. officials desperate to have more options for accessing the space station. Boeing's problems underscored NASA's dependence on the Dragon spacecraft. SpaceX has been NASA's primary means of delivering astronauts to the ISS since 2020. The addition of Hague and Gorbunov means there will be 11 people aboard the space station. Hague, 49, is a Kansas native who became an aeronautical engineer and Air Force officer before being selected as a NASA astronaut in 2013 and later transferring to the U.S. Space Force. His first mission to the International Space Station in 2018 suffered a catastrophic rocket booster failure that led to an abort shortly after launch. A subsequent flight on a Russian Soyuz spacecraft was successful, and he served as flight engineer on the ISS. Hague spent 203 days aboard the islands and conducted 3 spacewalks. Gorbunov, 34, was an officer in Russia's armed forces and is an engineer with a specialty in operating and repairing aircraft and their engines, according to NASA. Before being selected as a cosmonaut in 2018, he worked on transport aircraft with a Russian aerospace company. The Crew 9 mission is his first trip to space. He and Hague are expected to spend about 5 months conducting scientific research and donning spacesuits for external maintenance of the ISS. In all, the crew is expected to conduct more than 200 experiments and technology demonstrations, according to NASA.